Cinema Classics is sponsored by WCBE 90.5 FM, Columbus, Ohio, and is produced by John DeSando. Listen to shows online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Wayne Miller.
And this is Cinema Classics.
And what a classic it is.
Boy, you talk about the definition of classic. Sherlock Holmes.
Yes.
I mean...
how many... we've had
Countless.
more people... we would spend not only this program but several others, just a basic list of the number of people played by who've played Sherlock Holmes.
So let's hold off, try to restrain ourselves, and talk about Enola Holmes 2.
Yes.
And then we can drift into just the whole Sherlock Holmes as we get toward as we get toward Double Take.
Double Take. Yep.
So let's start out Enola Holmes 2. Gee, I wonder what that's about.
Well, with the two there, I suppose it's not about like she's got a twin. No, this is a sequel to a Netflix movie, Enola Holmes, that kind of sets up the whole premise, her being Sherlock Holmes' younger brother. I didn't see it.
How about younger sister?
I'm sorry, younger sister, right. And that was a faux pas. And it was well received, the first movie. And in that one, her mother, who's also is a great support in this movie, played by Helena Bonham Carter.
Oh, yes, true.
And in the first movie, Mom comes up missing, and Nola decides to use some of her deductive skills that her mom has taught her, but her mom also taught her a lot of martial arts skills too. And
we get a bit of jujitsu in Enola.
Yes, and she even says something, she kind of a standoff with these people and says, I know jujitsu, but engagingly played by Millie
Bobby Brown.
Billy Bobby Brown.
And this is saying something considering that she's playing opposite Henry Cavill as Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes. And there's a number of other good supporting people there. David Toulis is a Scotland Yard inspector.
Yes, Rail.
Yes.
I wonder what that says.
Her friend was Edith, that the black woman.
Yeah, Susan McComa.
Who does a great job. So there's a number of great support.
And we have other characters occurring now, including one of my old favorites, Lestrade.
Oh, yes. A very good Lestrade in this one.
Adele Akhtar, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is what I really liked about this movie, it was a lot of fun to watch. Great. I always have been intrigued by Victorian London.
Yeah.
That, from what I hear, was not all that much fun to live in, with a lack of sanitation and everything else. But and I've always been intrigued by such things as the Jack the Ripper case and of course all the Holmes stories. But here, she fits in quite well, and what I'm always intrigued with is when she breaks down what we call in the theater the fourth wall.
Yeah.
And talks with the audience.
Yeah, I think it's a nice touch.
Yeah.
And she is, let me get the word out, spunky.
Yeah. Very spunky.
And she's not classically beautiful. She has a soul that shines out through her lovely complexion, face, the way she carries herself.
Yeah.
Everything is very nicely done, almost understated. But then, I mentioned it before, but Henry Cavill understates his role.
Very much so. And in a review that I was reading, they stated because of his classically handsome looks, that he's more like a Jane Austen hero than a Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I think he does a good job in this one. And this is kind of a younger Sherlock Holmes, him meeting Watson and sharing a flat.
And this is the Sherlock Holmes you've always told me about, the drunken Sherlock Holmes. And they really play that up in this one.
Yeah, that he But, and I was wondering if he was doing it as a ruse, kind of, as part of trying to go incognito or whatever, because he was a master of disguise. And if this was a disguise, but it wasn't, that he'd gone and really.
What did you tell me
tried
that
one over.
did he snort cocaine?
Yeah, actually mainlined it, and that he called a 7% solution.
That's right.
Which of course then became not a part of the canon, as they call it, Conan Doyle's written works, but Nicholas Meyer actually wrote the book, The 7% Solution, and it was made in a very interesting movie with Nicole Williamson playing Holmes. Back to Little Sis.
Yeah, Enola, Holmes 2.
Yes. And some of how this movie was made, I thought was very interesting, John. Not only great set design and production, but also editing. And it kind of reminded me somewhat, two different things. One, the Sherlock Holmes, the two movies with Robert Downey Jr., where you see in slow motion as he's thinking about how to throw fisticuffs and throw people around. But also the Sherlock series with Benedict Cumberbatch, because during those shows that Holmes would kind of explain how he came to a deduction of from the evidence.
Right.
And you see that and how that was worked in with the evidence. Also, this had, I think, a really Monty Python take to it, with some of the very humorous little things they put in, like little talking animated characters, and
And isn't there an awful lot of cutting, montaging in this?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes. And a lot of stuff. A very cute little scene that looked like a family portrait of Sherlock, brother Mycroft, and Enola, and their mother.
The underachieving Mycroft.
Yeah.
He's the one sibling who doesn't quite.
Well, we could go into this a little bit more with
later on. Yeah, we will.
About
now here,
Mycroft.
let's attend just for a minute to the matchstick business, because I was intrigued that this is an historical occurrence in the late 19th century.
Yes, a strike of these matchstick girls.
Oh, is that an intended pun?
Yeah, matchstick. No, not quite. It does remind me of the little famous Christmas poem about the little matchstick girl out on the street, trying to sell her matches, freezing to death, and dreaming of being in a place with a nice fire and plenty of food.
But anyway, they had a strike.
Yeah.
And it was real.
Right.
And in a factory, and this is, she doesn't know what she's getting into when she takes on. Right. She needs this assignment. Well,
and the plot as it goes on, and it's one of those things you really have to kind of pay attention to, because it was a labyrinth of plot lines, including basically Enola's on the case because she's helping this little girl try to find her sister who's up missing.
And the sister gets involved in the factory work.
Yeah, she's one of the hundreds of matchstick girls working in this factory, and she and so Enola kind of sneaks in and starts coming up with evidence. Lo and behold, some of it is related to a case that Brother Sherlock is working on.
How convenient.
How convenient. And of course it's not only about these matchstick girls dying of what they were saying was typhus, but also the owners of the factory, how they were hooked in with cabinet members, British Parliament cabinet members, stealing funds, from all these banks and everything.
That infamous rival of Sherlock Holmes.
Oh yes, his nemesis, Moriarty. And we won't give it away.
No.
But a very interesting take on Moriarty that I hadn't seen before.
Right.
There have been female Moriartys I've seen sometimes.
Well, I like Enola Holmes 2 because it has a big burden to overcome, which is Sherlock himself.
Yes.
And to make it believable, I think they do, was it Harry Bradbeer is the director. He
Yes.
directed the first Enola.
Yeah.
And I think he did a great job of overcoming
Yeah.
the baggage that you bring when you do something with Sherlock.
Especially when you make Sherlock a supporting character.
Yes.
And the main
Yeah.
person here, who fortunately is very engaging,
Yeah.
is Enola.
But you know, that may answer our question initially, that Cavill probably underplayed that
Right.
specifically. So
Yes.
to take the heat off of him, his character, and let it shine on her.
And he's having quite a career
Boy.
right now with Superman
Yeah.
going to be resurrected, this, of course, he was in the first Enola Holmes movie. As
Yeah.
Sherlock.
Yeah. So overall, we could say that this is a Netflix movie, which means
Yes.
it's not gonna cost you much to take a look at it. What do you advise?
I would advise to see it, but I tell you, to do so, to be aware, one of the things when you're filming in Victorian age London, there's not a lot of lighting. And just in your review, and we saw it together on Netflix,
Yes.
and we both, it's so annoying when you can hardly see what's going
Yes,
on
yes.
at the night scenes.
Yes.
And very annoying.
Yeah.
And so that's the only drawback that I would have with this.
Yes, and I don't think it was the quality of our vision here on my set, because it's been universally true. These dark, mysterious movies
Right.
get, when they're put on our TVs.
On TVs. And so I wonder what it would look like in a darkened theater auditorium
Yes.
on the big
Yeah,
screen.
I think it would be better. All right, Enola Holmes 2,
Right.
Netflix.
Netflix, I recommend it. Yep. The case, as she said at one time, the case has feet. Instead of the case as a foot.
And look, I already were getting calls. Our director says we're getting calls about people who don't want us to stop. Well, that's too bad because we have only 5 minutes of a show. But what do they have? What's their alternative? How can we appease these people? How about going to Double Take?
Double take, yes.
All right.
A pod experience.
Our podcast experience.
Yes.
Just go to WCBE, podcast experience, look at Double Take, and you'll get more of our blather.
Yes, even if you want it or not.